Hey everyone, I'm Harley Salbacka.
And I'm Anthony Mauro. And today we are thrilled to have with us writer, director, and original Pink Ranger from the original Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series, Amy Jo Johnson, and Matt Hotson, a writer in his own right, as well as AD on hit shows such as Titans, and co-writer of the new series, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, The Return. Amy, Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. This is really huge. Yeah, this is rad.
It's just rad.
Thanks for having us.
So what made you guys want to come and tell this specific story? What was it about this story and the Power Rangers franchise that made you want to come back?
I'm not sure how to answer the end of that question, but I know that it was in the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic, I actually had an idea for a series that was sort of like a young adult, Supergirl, kind of Dark Angels Power Ranger series about a young Green Ranger named Olivia Hart, who was the daughter of Kimberly and Tommy. And I told Matt about this idea, and I was trying to figure out, do I pitch it to Hasbro, and which is a whole thing in itself to try to get a TV show off the ground. And I think, Matt has read a gazillion comic books, and you said it should be a comic book, or did I? Yeah.
You said it. I give you full credit for the idea, because she was brainstorming this stuff, and she kept asking, like, well, where would these characters be? And we were talking about, well, they would be older, and like, it'd be amazing if they all came back. And then the more we brainstormed, the more it kind of became this, it'd be the best Power Rangers movie of all time, but completely unfilmable. And then it was Amy Jo was just like, no, well, this is turned into something else, but it's so cool, and we should make it a comic book. And that was just sort of the end of that sort of avenue of thinking of all
and
these
then
other
the
things.
pandemic hit. And there was all this time on our hands.
And I also remember, as Amy Jo mentioned, I'm a giant comic book fan, and Amy Jo has a ton of the Boom comic books in her basement. And she said, oh, it should just be a comic book. And that was just sort of almost like, we'll put a pin in this and come back to it. And I remember going home that night and thinking, it should be a comic book. Why wouldn't it be a comic book? JDF kind of helped Kyle Higgins on one of the graphic novels. And then I just sort of dug my claws into your idea. And here we are. 3.5 years later, and I was like, it should be a comic book. It should be a comic book. When's it going to be a comic book?
And then I emailed Daphne, and we didn't hear from her for a long time, but we still got into the writing mode and like thinking up the whole story.
That was on a Saturday or Sunday you sent it, maybe a Friday night. And on the Monday, the whole planet shut down. And then in the end, if you look at it, the terrible timing ended up being perfect timing, because now we're here at the 30th anniversary, and we got to kick things off in the 30th anniversary special. And then in March, when the book comes out, I think the TV show is actually wrapped up for the first time ever. So this is a cool big new thing that we can give the fans while they wait for whatever else comes up with the TV show later on in the future.
So let's talk about what I'm calling the core creative team of the two of you, Nico, the phenomenal artist, and Daphne, who is the shepherd of the Power Rangers franchise here at Boom Studios.
Yes.
She was the original editor on the main run before passing the torch over at issue 100 to the new main series editor, Allison, who's also a phenomenal editor. But
Artists are amazing, though, all of them. So.
Yeah. So what was it like, the four of you working together, bringing this story to life?
Yeah. So, working with Daphne has been great and so helpful, and she's like a really wonderful editor, and a learning curve for us, learning how to write together, and then sending, getting notes can be a little bit of a hard thing. It's like, okay, now we have to reimagine what's happening, but it's all working out, and it keeps getting better and better. And then now that we're starting to see drawings come in from Nico and having it come to life is kind of blowing our minds at how, like, oh, wow, this is actually going to be really good. Like, he's so talented.
Yeah,
he is.
With Daphne, it's been great because, like you said, she was the original editor at Boom, and then we knew she was stepping away last year. So to have her with us is great, because I think she's excited too, not to speak for her, but we're taking things in a totally new direction than the 100+ issues that she worked on. So I think she's excited to be involved too. But it's good, like Amy Jo said, is co-writing and sort of like finding where to compromise and where to stand your ground on different ideas that we have with each other. And then we go through all that together. And then when we give it over to Daphne, she has such a rich experience with these characters and the different versions of the comics that when she comes back to us with notes, it's like having just a whole extra brain to help us brainstorm new things.
Yeah. It's been that part actually with Daphne has been quite easy. I think the hardest part has been the two of us sort of like.
It really has. It's fine co-writer. I mean, Amy Jo is a really, really good writer. She has a script on the blacklist, and she's working on all these features, and she's incredible. And then for me, it's new. I mean, I feel like I've been secretly training or waiting to be a comic book writer my whole life. But it took a long time to sort of find out how us two to get our flow. And we really need something written down on a screen in order for us to like point to that and be like, well, change this or do this or do this, as opposed to just talking about it. We found that we just have to write it and then send that back and then focus on the document as opposed to just talking with each other. And then when we finally hand the script in, we're finally on the same page. But that doesn't mean that visually the image that I would see in my head for a page or a panel is the same as what you would see. And then Nico hands the art in and it doesn't matter anymore.
To me, it's always kind of what I had, what I pictured in my head, but way better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should talk more about Nico.
I was going to say, Nico, he's a Power Rangers super fan, so he's kind of like the perfect person to come in and draw this.
I Googled Nico, and the first thing that came up is his Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Bendis. And we now live in a world where everybody knows who Miles Morales Spider-Man is. And I was like, ooh, him. And so I showed Amy Jo a ton of his work. And then we started picking up all of his Catwoman stuff from DC, which is the best work of his career. And then he started turning in the art for this. He just finished Catwoman, and it's even better. It's so good.
Apparently he has a Red Ranger costume, and he will like wear it and then look in the mirror and see how to like actually. And he went and he's been training with the original Ranger who started like a dojo in Tokyo, and he's been training there to learn like the moves as he draws them.
Yeah, he said like the original. He said the original Green Ranger and Pink Ranger stunt performers from the original like Super Sentai are married in real life and run a martial arts class, and he joined. And then we can steal this story because there's no way he's going to tell everybody. He's probably going to be this. But he literally puts the red suit on and stands in a mirror to get all of his poses. And when you see the book, you're just like, well, that's what, like, it looks so authentic and good. He literally sent us a clip one morning in an email, and he was like, there's this thing that I did on this page of this issue. And I know you guys, it wasn't in the script, but if you watch like, I don't want to say an episode. I'll make up like if you watch this episode at this minute and second mark, you see a thing that if 30 years later,
and he's like, I'll take it out if you want us to. We're like,
why would we take that
keep
out?
It going.
That's amazing.
That's good stuff.
I want to talk about the other artist who has helped this series as well, which is the great Dan Mora.
Yeah.
What was that like, getting Dan Mora to do character designs for The Return?
Thrilling and exciting, especially as they're coming in and the 40-year-old, characters, the Power Rangers, the older Power Rangers, and where they are and what they look like, going in the back and forth with him. Like we picked out a bunch of reference images and created our own sort of character of what we wanted, sent it, and then he would send it back so to a T that we'd be like, oops, we messed up. We sent you the wrong reference, but like he was so like spot on for everything that he sent us.
Yeah. Power Rangers are cool, but I am a diehard Ninja Turtles fan. I don't know if you realize that. So the Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, the two books that Dan did with Ryan Parrott are absolutely incredible. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, we also are huge fans of those here too.
Those are so fun.
Yeah, and I talking about that Red Ranger design too. First of all, that being in the audience when that reveal happened was incredible.
Well, tell us.
I know. I wasn't there either. I was running a booth.
It was like a crescendoed wall of just audible gasps. Like,
really?
oh my God, people
I love that.
went insane for it. They were so stoked for it. It was a very cool experience, and I also have to say I love that y'all made Jason just a brick house of a man. He's just a wall.
The reference photos we sent, one of them was, what's the hockey player?
Jaromir Jagr. Because
yeah.
I'm a huge Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and when I was a kid, I even grew my hair out, like tried to do the terrible curly mullet.
Yeah.
But Jaromir Jagr is, I want to say 52, and he's still playing hockey professionally. And he's, like you said, just a brick. He's just a thick powerhouse.
It's just
and
like,
he's scruffy and gray and all beat up. From
I love that.
I mean, obviously the original live action TV show is a huge jumping off point for the show. So making things look like they used to in the characters we recognize from the show, but just sort of putting a little spin on it and seeing what they would look like 30 years later.
Yeah, now I want to know all of your reference, like for each one of them, like what did you send in for references?
For Zach, we first sent a picture of
Idris Elba. And
yes.
and he came back so sleek, and I was like,
it was too sexy.
It's too sexy.
Too sexy.
Not that I don't think Zach's sexy, but this was just like it was too sexy.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely
then for
incredible.
Kimberly, it was oh my God, from East Kings of
Mayor of Easttown.
Mayor of Easttown. It was Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, from that show where she's just like kind of has her jacket on and just looks a little bit down and out. That was the Kimberly reference.
For Billy. It was sort of like Steve Jobs filtered through Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that super clean cut suit look.
Yeah.
That's a vibe. That's 100% a vibe.
What we said nerd rich or something like that.
I was about to say that. I was like the rich nerd guy.
Nerd chic, that was it.
Nerd chic.
I have to know because I am personally a fan of all things called The Return, whether it's Twin Peaks or, Return of the King. Where did The Return come from? What is that reference in the overall story?
We're going to be real honest. That didn't come from us.
Oh, okay.
Our was a family reunion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody made an email called The Return.
You're totally right. Daphne sent an email once and it referred to The Return at one point, and we were just like,
that's really good.
I guess it's called The Return. Yeah.
I love that. What are you most excited for people to experience in The Return?
I've been going to a lot of shows lately, and one of the things that I've realized more and more is that the Power Rangers was not just a TV show for kids. It was, for a lot of people, it was so much more. It was a babysitter. It was a friend for people who were bullied. It was a place where people discovered their sexuality and figured out they were gay, or there was, you know what I mean? Like, it was just so much more than just this kids show. So I'm just excited for these kids who are now adults to read this reimagined story of what if those original Rangers had stayed together, and where would they be now 30 years ago? And then, there's a lot of stuff that we deal with in there that I think, because of things that have happened in real life, for a couple of the original Rangers, I think will be a real, a bittersweet book to read, bittersweet comic book of
a little bit of catharsis with that.
I think so for a whole generation of kids who loved these characters so much.
We should talk about the reimagined short story that we did in the 30th anniversary a few weeks ago.
Please, because I do believe that's going to be in the collected edition as well.
Yeah.
Spoilers for the collected edition.
Well, because it's like a prelude. It really is sort of. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to have read it to get the story that we're going to tell in these comic books, but it's definitely a great little entryway.
Francisco Mortarino was the artist on that, and he did a fantastic job where we took literal moments from the show. And I think my favorite is hopefully your favorite. It's in the world of the show, 3 characters, the original Power Rangers, left. And we said, why would they leave? Let's keep them together, which is sort of the impetus behind a lot of what happens.
Yeah. What if those 3 Rangers never left, and everybody stayed. And if you, in that shot, that particular shot from the show is really actually kind of rude on Saban's part, because it's not even those actors. It's like they literally within one day replaced them. The shot is literally a shot where all of a sudden we show up on set and like those actors are gone. It was a huge moment for a lot of people in a lot of people's lives. And so we just wanted to like kind of put that in there as sort of like this gesture of, I don't know, like what if that didn't happen? Where would those Rangers have gone? So that's where that was our jumping off point to where we started reimagining the story. Mm-hmm. The whole series really sort of like will fill in the blanks to actually what went down and happened, because it was a lot went down and happened.
I love that.
Yeah,
I'm very excited to see why the moon exploded. I'm very, very excited to see that.
And I feel like it's so interesting having you write this, Amy Jo, because in a weird way, you lived a lot of it. Like, it's a show, but like you lived in the show and you portrayed this character, and now you get to take this world that you lived in and expand it for everyone. I think that's so amazing. It's such a special thing. Like, how many people can do what you're doing?
Yeah, I think it's really, really fun, especially in like recreating all these characters in their 40s and actually knowing the real people, and not like fully bringing in who they are into these characters. But as an actor, we do bring ourselves to the roles. So there is a bit of Walter in Zach, and there is a bit of David in Billy, and so on. So it's like kind of bringing in pieces of my friends into the actual comic book as well, which is kind of fun.
So cool.
Amy Jo, Matt, thank you so much for joining us today on this amazing episode of Boom Direct. You have both been fantastic, and I cannot wait to just be a fan and get to sit and read. Like, we get to experience all this material early just from the nature of getting to, work with Boom Studios. But like, there's something just getting to sit with the physical copy in my hands and just kind of tune out the world for 20 minutes and just get to read a comic book that I am insanely looking forward to doing with this series. Just as a Power Rangers kid who is now in his 30s, getting to experience a new cool version of this world that I absolutely love and adore.
Yeah, all of us Power Rangers kids are stoked.
So please tell all the people of the internet where they can find you, if you so choose.
Well, I actually have a website, amyjojohnson.com. And within there, I actually have this special toy box where it's like a private room in my website if you become a member. And in there, I put all kinds of different, like my EP I'm working on, which a new EP with 3 songs, and just different projects I have going on. Anyway, there's that. And then I'm on Instagram on A⁻J, and Twitter. Matt is now on Twitter. He's never been on social media ever, and he has 20 followers now.
Please don't follow me. I finally implemented a dark and scary place, and she finally convinced me to join Twitter. And
I think it's a dark and scary place too.
One of us.
It's Matt__ Hotson, I think.
But that said, I mean, like Amy Jo, yeah, it is Matt __ Hotson.
Yeah.
Those double underscores drive me nuts, but the other Matt Hotsons beat me to it years ago. It will be a good way. It's been fun. I work in film and TV, so because of the strikes this year, I've been tagging along with Amy Jo to some of the cons, and there's some fantastic people out there and some really cool Power Rangers fans, and it's been fun seeing them get super stoked or bringing Amy Jo the 30th anniversary special that we have the story in to sign. So hopefully Twitter will be a fun way to interact with those people. And see what people think about the comic book. And if not, I will delete it. So what a neat social experiment this is.
That's fair.
I love it. Well, to all of the people listening / watching, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to catch the full-length episodes in podcast form. And if you want to stay up to date on all the cool things that we have coming down the pipeline for Boom Direct, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast or both. And also all of the social media for Boom and all of us, everyone here.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Remember, comics are for everyone.
Which is why we make comics for everyone.
I'm Anthony Mauro.
I'm Harley Salbacka, and this is
Boom Direct.
Direct.